Alrighty, making a steak cake. So here I've baked a cake. I think this was maybe an 8-inch cake, and I printed off a picture of a steak just to use as a bit of a guide, and literally just cutting around it. Now I'm not putting my piece of cake straight on my finished board here. I'm just putting on a thin cardboard one so I can get it in and out of the fridge easily. You can go straight in with fondant, but I like to add a little bit of buttercream. One, it helps the fondant to stick, and two, it's just nice to have buttercream with cake. So, and you'll obviously get a smoother finish as well. So I'm just adding a layer on here, smoothing it out, but not perfect because, you know, it's a steak. It doesn't need to be perfectly smooth. Then I'm going to roll out a layer of brown fondant. I haven't gone too dark here because I'm going to paint it. I just wanted kind of like a light brown, or medium brown I should say, so that I can darken the areas that I want to darken, if that makes sense. I did chill my cake a little bit before I put the fondant on. Just makes it a little bit easier to work with. Smoothing the top first and then work around the sides. Because it's such a short cake, it's actually really easy to get a smooth, easy finish on the fondant, sorry. So shouldn't have too many problems with that. Cutting off the excess, and then just making sure it's all smooth and attached. Then I'm going to push the fondant underneath the cake. You don't want the fondant to look like it's fondant, if you know what I mean. So you want to make sure it's tucked in under the cake so that it looks like, it just makes it look more 3D, I guess. Just cleaning up the board a little bit there so that it doesn't get messy when I kind of move it around. Once you've got your shape and you're happy with it, we're going to start adding on some details. So I'm just literally using the image as a bit of a guide for the design of where you're putting your indents. You're basically showing sort of the line of fat that you find on a steak. I didn't follow it too closely because you can kind of go with your gut, and if you've seen steak a lot, then you know approximately what you're doing. I actually haven't seen that much steak, but enough to know kind of what it looks like. So using your fondant tool there, just drawing in your basic lines. I'm not going too deeply to start off with, but then I just go over it again to make it the depth that I would like it to be. I find if you go in really hard at the beginning, sometimes you can pierce it, or it's just easier to go wrong. So I tend to kind of go light and then a little bit deeper for the second one. Just adding some sort of little indents and little marks where maybe the steak, when it was being chopped, got a bit of a knife mark or something. Because as we know, steaks never look absolutely perfect. Next up, I'm doing the lines that would be there if it was kind of cooked on a griddle pan. So you get those kind of scorch marks going across the steak. Not too deep with those. You just want them enough that they're going to kind of catch that deeper colour when we're painting it later. I'm just adding some extra lines in that fat line. And some extra marks here. Again, it's really about when we're painting it, we want to get those little changes and variations in color. And when you have those little dents and lines and things, then that when you're painting it, the color naturally pulls, or the paint kind of pulls in those areas and makes it darker. So just adding in little dents and marks and crevices that you would find on a steak. They're never one flat color. As you can see, this bit takes a little bit of time, but I feel like it's really worth it for the final product. And because of the way steak is, even when you're kneading your fondant, it doesn't matter if you get it perfectly smooth and perfectly kneaded, because you're going to naturally get those sort of cracks and crevices and stuff as well. So I would almost recommend that you don't fully knead your fondant so that it's not perfect when you put it on top. Okay, so next up, I have mixed some rose water with some brown paint, well, some brown gel. And I'm going to use this to paint everywhere. What I like about using this is it gives it a bit of a shiny gloss to it. And you can see there, it's actually starting to sit in those lines and crevices already, which is great, but we're going to add some extra color to that as well. So I sped this up because you all know how to paint something. Going in with a nice little brush and a darker brown, I'm really going to define those lines. Again, I'm just speeding this up because otherwise it's going to be painfully slow for you to watch. But yeah, just going over all those lines and those crevices, little marks that you've made. Just adding that darker colour around the fat layer as if it's been really seared off, which apparently is what you do when you cook steak. I don't really know. Here I'm just going over those lines with the thicker brush just to kind of blend it and bleed it into the rest of the colour. I actually didn't dry my lighter brown before I put on the dark brown, and that's just purely so that I can kind of blend those colours together. Here I melted some glucose syrup with some rose water. I wasn't precise about how much I did. I just did it till I got to a consistency that I liked. And before your paint dries, you paint this on, and it gives it a shine and a gloss, and it just kind of mixes those colours together, so it doesn't look so painted. For salt, I'm just sprinkling on some little white or sort of crystal sort of sprinkles. I didn't have any brown for pepper, so I just poured a few in and added some brown dust I could have done it to the white as well. I just wanted slightly different sizes. A little bit of brown, and just shake it, shake it, shake it, and it will cover it and make it the color that you want it to be. Really handy tip for when you don't have the color that you need. And this looks great as kind of cracked pepper on top of the steak. I think that looks very cool. So that goes off into the fridge to get nice and hard. And then when you're ready, you can place it on your finished board. I bought a chopping board because I thought that would look really cool. You could add some juices and stuff on there, up to you. And then you can add your lettuce. I actually ended up gluing my lettuce down with a little bit of buttercream because I needed to travel with it. But if you're just putting the cake out, then you can just place it on. Yeah, I hope you found this helpful. I've really enjoyed making this cake, and it was a real hit at the steakhouse that we went to for dinner. So give it a go, and please send me through any photos if you have any. Cheers, bye.